Welcome to the session for FPM Review Coordinators for School Districts. It has been designed specifically to address the needs of LEAs that will be undergoing either an online or on-site review in 2020-2021. Our experiences reinforce the need to start with the basics so that you can fully comprehend how the FPM structure is organized and implemented. So we begin this training in the fashion as if this were a recipe, potluck, or any other process that requires multiple ingredients to create a great product. We focus most upon those contributors to the potluck that make the final product all that it could be. Please let us know if you have any questions after the session is over. Your review team leader can then follow up with you one-on-one. We expect to learn from you and your questions. General overview. We're going to provide you with a general overview with respect to what you can anticipate receiving as the main objective and purpose of this training. CDE is charged by the U.S. Department of Education with the responsibility of ensuring that agencies are meeting specific legal requirements for the use of categorical funds. We'll talk about determining compliance. Federal program monitoring does not test for program quality, although certain items contained in a few instruments do require that programs be effective in meeting the needs of the students they strive to serve. For example, the program instrument for English learners requires that EL students acquire English within a reasonable period of time. Another example is the compensatory education instrument, which requires that strategies be used to meet the needs of high-risk students and be effective as determined by the school site council. Not all legal requirements are tested during the FPM review. Each program determines which items will be tested and included in their instruments. The instruments are then reviewed by our legal office before they are published and posted on the CDE web. Here we will talk about the difference between an on-site versus an online portion of the review. When we say on-site reviews, we mean reviews that are involved us going to your agency and schools and program sites. Online reviews, which the majority of the reviews and the focus that will be during this training, are those reviews that are conducted entirely online or take on the nomenclature telemonitoring through the CDE monitoring tool and involve document review only. The on-site and online reviews have the same function and follow the same process. They should both be taken seriously. So as we opened up with focusing on the objective as if it were a potluck, we're going to focus our attention on the roles of some of the participants or the main contributors. FPM Review Coordinator. In CMT, the LEA or district is referred to as the agency. This is because the tool is sometimes used to review entities that are not agencies. However, the FPM process only reviews LEAs, so that is the term we will use primarily here. The FPM Review Coordinator, sometimes referred to as the LEA Review Coordinator or Agency Coordinator, also serves as the primary contact for the agency on all aspects involving the planning and implementation of the FPM review. In the past, CDE was able to assign user management in the monitoring tool. Now we are only able to assign the LEA coordinators who has the district administrator role. The LEA coordinator then assigns other users to the tool. More on that later and in the CMT training. This person, the FPM review coordinator, also serves as the primary contact after the review related to the unresolved findings. It is critical, therefore, that the FPM review coordinator serve as a funnel through which all ingoing and outgoing exchanges with CDE flow. The CMT is the legal record of the review. It is the recipe of sorts. It is important that review activity be documented well there. Comments are the primary way that happens. Sometimes a comment can serve as evidence to meet a program requirement. It's very important to monitor them closely throughout the review process. Let's talk about another primary contributor in this potluck of sorts, And again, this is for the purpose of all contributing participants making a product that works for all, and that is the review team leader. The review team leader, or RTL, similarly serves as the principal contact for the CDE on all FPM-related matters and communication exchanges. It is the role of the RTL to monitor the progress of each review. This includes reminding reviewers when they haven't posted comments by the comment deadline or responded to comments posted or evidence uploaded by the respective agency. It is also the role of the RTL to ensure the FPM process is carried out consistently with established FPM policies. During the FPM on-site review, the RTL works closely with their counterpart, the FPM Review Coordinator, serving as the facilitator of the process. When I'm speaking to an on-site review, also the review team leader works in a hand-to-hand process on the online portion of the review with the FPM coordinator also. Additionally, the RTL chairs all scheduled interviews listed on the daily schedule. During the on-site review, the RTL also communicates with reviewers at alternate sites and those conducting online reviews. During online reviews, the RTL arranges for any necessary conference calls between the LEA and FPM reviewers to respond to the agency's request for clarification regarding potential findings. The RTL's role is parallel to the agency review coordinator's role. So again, as with using the nomenclature, a potluck, we have, in order for it to be successful, the review team lead and the FPM review coordinator, they have to be working hand in hand in order for this recipe of sorts to be successful. CDE program reviewers. These are another set of contributors to this successful potluck, which we entail to bring about for the purpose of rendering these deliverables for the necessary students. The CDE program reviewer has the responsibility to make a determination whether or not an agency meets federal requirements. The judgments that the respective reviewers render regarding compliance is based upon a combination of high levels of program expertise by the reviewers, guided by instruments that are vetted through our legal department. Here we'll talk about FPM timelines, because as if we were talking about a potluck, timelines, in order for a party to be successful, we have to maintain an eye on the clock. The following slides cover timelines associated with federal program monitoring. The participant will, after this presentation, understand the time-specific important events that are correlated with the FPM review process from beginning to end. Before the review, 90 to 60 days before the review start date, the single most common comment we have heard when interviewing FPM coordinators after the review is, "I wish I had started earlier." Be familiar, please, with the program instruments for the programs being reviewed. Very early on, ensure documentation procedures are in place to be able to provide required evidence. It is highly recommended that you develop a naming convention for your documents. This is the #1 tip we have received from other LEA coordinators who have had successful reviews. Design naming conventions for your evidence and keep a log of what you have gathered and uploaded to the document section of CMT. It will make the linking and certifying process that much smoother. Involve appropriate team members and assign roles. Be proficient in using CMT. Contact program reviewers with any program questions about instrument items or evidence that is requested. Please contact the review team lead with any questions about the review process or CMT that you may have. Also, consider opportunities to schedule board meetings, school site council meetings, etc. during the review dates. This will make all contributions to a successful potluck that much smoother. Before the review, 60 to 30 days out, here are some suggestions that we have. Continue your team's process of responding to specific evidence requests in CMT by uploading and linking all evidence and certifying all evidence request responses in CMT. This makes your evidence available to the program reviewers to review. Stay on top of all the comments back and forth between CDE and your district, especially as it gets closer to the review. So some of these comments, as again, using the analogy of a potluck, we want this to be a successful turnout. In order for it to be a successful turnout, we have to be conscious with respect to the communications that are being exchanged. CMT has no auto notification features when comments are added or evidence certified. So sometimes you may need to let your reviewer know via a quick email that there is new information in CMT. Copy your respective RTL on those messages so that we can follow up. Before the review, 30 calendar days out, we recommend that you meet the 30-day initial evidence upload deadline. All evidence must be available to the respective reviewers by this date. If possible, try to upload, link, and certify your evidence in CMT before the deadline. Why do we ask that 30 days out, all evidentiary material be uploaded, linked, and certified? Because this gives the respective program reviewers more time to give you feedback on your evidence, which gives you more time to respond to reviewer feedback and upload evidence to prevent findings. Remember at the outset, we shared that one of the contributions that was made by one potluck participant in a previous review is, I wish I had more time. So please, in order for this to be a successful potluck, capitalize on these timelines that we are putting forth. For an on-site review, work with the RTL to coordinate the daily schedules, logistics, and etc. Before the review, about 15 days out, we highly recommend that you monitor CMT regularly for feedback from reviewers, include status changes and comments. Also, please respond to reviewers' requests in CMT by posting comments and providing evidence. Also, it's highly recommended that to ensure your team is prepared for the activities and required during the review dates, that you sometimes schedule some time off on your calendars, just as you can dedicate more time for the review of CMT. Daily review schedules. In the nomenclature of a potluck, daily review schedules can be analogized as the menus or the recipes, if you will. The following slides cover daily schedules during on-site and online reviews. These slides appear in your handouts as a resource, but we will not cover these in this full presentation. I am being inclusive of the on-site review schedules in this presentation, which may be more aligned to the bulk of reviews that have been converted to online for the first part of the year. However, there may be attendees whose review that occur in the spring may be on-site, so I wanted to include this short material also. The number of days of a review varies from 3, 5, or more. Sometimes it can stretch out to 2 or 3 weeks. The sample shown for an on-site and online review is based on a 3-day review. On-site daily schedule. Entrance meeting. The first day of our on-site review always includes a formal district entrance meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to briefly introduce each member of the FPM team and for the FPM team to meet members of the agency's leadership team. Principals from the sites being reviewed sometimes also attend this meeting. What usually occurs next is the agency presents a brief overview of the district, and we emphasize the word brief. For example, the demographics of the students and the performance history of the district may be covered during this time. This is also the time during which districts make the team aware of district initiatives, especially those targeted to the programs being reviewed. For example, the agency may want to identify the special needs of the district and how professional development or program services are targeting those specific needs. This should be a brief presentation since the reviewers have already had the opportunity to review much of the same information contained in the uploaded evidence prior to the review dates. Any last-minute changes to the review schedule are also made at this meeting. This is a screenshot of an on-site daily schedule for the first day of the review. The review team lead will provide the agency coordinator the draft schedule at least 10 days before the review starts for review and to align the activities according to your agency's needs. District review. Following the entrance meeting and starting about 1:30 p.m., team members will meet individually with their district program counterparts to discuss focused questions based on their review of documentation. They may ask for clarification in terms of implementation of district programs at sites to be visited. If your district staff is limited and one person is assigned to various programs, this part of the review may be challenging. Reviewers will have to share that person's time so that they can all complete their work by the end of the afternoon. The RTL will work with the agency review coordinator and the program reviewers to schedule the necessary amount of time for each program. On-site daily schedule exit day. You will be emailed a copy of the preliminary findings report no later than 9 o'clock on the morning of the last day. You need to review them carefully to ensure you understand what must be done to meet requirements. The final day of the review is highlighted by the district exit meeting. This meeting marks the conclusion of the review. This is a very brief meeting, not like the entrance meeting. It is generally just with the LEA coordinator, the CDE team, and a few program people, although the district may invite who they choose to the exit meeting. Upon request, a clarification meeting is arranged before the exit meeting. The agency is given the opportunity to ask reviewers for clarification of findings in the preliminary report with a focus specifically on how to resolve said findings. After the clarification meeting, the official notification of findings report is generated and presented to the district at the exit meeting. During the exit meeting, the RTL thanks the district and briefly discusses the resolution process. This is a brief snapshot of an alternate site schedule. This slide details the particulars of what a schedule would appear as if there was an alternate site being reviewed within the context of the FPM review. The reason I'm going over this seemingly minuscule portion is because in order for a pilot to be successful, there are alternate sites that we review that are not common sites. An alternate site is defined as a school site wherein a particular program is conducting the FPM review, while the RTL and other program reviewers may be situated at a common site, and the common site is the site wherein majority of the programs are being reviewed, and the RTL and the review program coordinator is commonly situated. The next few slides address online reviews, and this is the portion of the presentation in which the bulk of attention will be focused here on online reviews. Because documentation is the only evidence being reviewed, and sometimes there may be the facilitating, coordinating of interviews, it is important to be thorough and timely in uploading documentation to CMT. All information relevant to results must be documented within CMT. This includes any phone calls or emails. CMT contains the permanent record of the FPM review. The agency will have a deadline of 1 p.m. to upload all additional evidence. However, before I go on to the next slide, I did want to speak to, since this is a modification of online reviewing that we've conducted in the past, and this will cover telemonitoring, we will be conducting meetings via Zoom or some other platform on the first day of the review in order to officially start the review off. And that meeting can consist of the respective RTL, the respective LEA coordinator, any staff and personnel that the respective LEA coordinator invites on their side, as well as program reviewers on our side also. Online daily schedule exit day. So once we've run the course of conducting all aspects of the review, whether it is 3 days, 5 days, or those that I've spoken to earlier about a modified 1 or 2 weeks, the RTL would then must send the agency review coordinator the team's preliminary findings by 9 a.m. on the final day of the review. The agency reviews the preliminary findings and determines if clarification of the findings is needed. If a clarification conference is required, the agency requests the call by 10 a.m. If a request for clarification is made, a telephone conference call will be scheduled with the district that same day. It must occur via telephone or Zoom on that day because the NOF must be issued on the final day of the review. After the conference call, the reviewers and the respective RTO will finalize the findings, and the official NOF will then be issued, and a copy will be emailed to the respective agency review coordinator. The RTO will cover the steps required by the district to resolve the findings, either during the telephone conference call, if one is held, or in a subsequent call to the respective agency review coordinator. The next slides are screenshots of an online daily schedule. This screenshot shows what an online daily schedule consists of for day 1 and 2. This screenshot details what an online daily schedule looks like for the exit day. Resolving a finding. So we've almost reached the end of the potluck. We've almost reached the end of the party. The finding or the sharing of the recipe of all the participants is the next step that we must do. The first step in the resolution process is to refer to the NOF and read the written finding. The finding will contain all 3 required components. First, a brief statement of the legal requirement is captured within the very first paragraph, that is a citation of statute. Second, evidence the reviewer found that led them to the conclusion that your agency did not meet the legal requirements. And finally, steps you must take, which are captured within the 3rd paragraph, on how to resolve said finding or findings. This last part of the finding should give you precisely what the reviewer must see to resolve the respective finding. When submitting evidence to resolve a finding, upload the evidence to CMT, upload, link, and certify, and please post a comment alerting the reviewer that said evidentiary material has been provided. Because there are no auto notifications in CMT to advise us when new comments or evidence is added, follow up with a quick courtesy email to the reviewer and please copy the respective RTO. When submitting a resolution response, be prepared to respond to the reviewer's comments if any are posted. The communication, the potluck, if you will, we're still talking and we're still communicating. Monitor CMT regularly for feedback from program reviewers. The recent activity tab in CMT may be useful during the resolution period. Timelines for resolution. We'll recap. Following the review dates, if there were any findings, then the resolution period begins. These dates are calculated beginning on the last day of the review exit day. All days are referred to herein as calendar days. So we have a listing of 45 days, a 45-day deadline. After that, the maximum of 225 days from the last day of the review. However, there's activity going on between there to ensure that all participants are on the same page. FPM resources. The following slides detail a wealth of resources available about the FPM process and other ancillary material. We provide this because in the spirit of a potluck, we want your FPM review to be a successful review, whether it involves 0 findings or any findings. We look at it as a learning process. Here we provide you with a snapshot of our compliance monitoring webpage, CDE's compliance monitoring webpage link and topics. Herein, information has been culled to provide general information about the FPM process, list of LEAs selected for review, training material relevant to the FPM reviews, a list of the instruments used by the programs during the FPM review, and information about the CMT. Contained within the wealth of resources available on the web page is also contact information to maintain correspondences. So as we started off in a participatory mode on activating this potluck, if you will, we expect for the correspondences to maintain and to go on to ensure that the FPM process is closed out as positively as could be. Contact information. Also available is pertinent information relevant to the review team leader's region assignments. Information about the programs participating in the FPM review processes. Also, County Office of Education Monitoring leads are also detailed on our website. We thank you for attending this very thoughtful and very comprehensive review process that we thought that you can put into practice. And again, if you have any questions or concerns concerning the FPM process for the 2020-2021 year, please do not hesitate to contact either myself or my respective colleagues within the Federal Program Monitoring Office at California Department of Education. Thank you.